One of the main things that needs to be on an infographic is a graph. We need to see some data represented in a visual way that can show us some more information about the main concept. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to add a graph to your PowerPoint using data in an Excel spreadsheet. To get started, you're just going to go to Insert and then Chart. There are a lot of different charts and graphs to choose from. You really need to kind of think about your data and then pick which type of chart is going to best represent your information. For this example, I'm going to use an XY scatter plot, and then I like these straight lines with the markers. You can always go back and change these settings later, so if you want to just kind of try it out, you can pick one and then hit OK. The nice thing about using PowerPoint is that it's going to automatically open up Excel, and it even gives you sample data to kind of start filling in. You've got your X values and your Y values. X is going to be whatever goes across the bottom of your graph. Usually that's the independent variable. And then the Y values are what are going to be going up and down. Usually that's what we call the dependent variable. For my data, I'm going to be using the year as the independent variable, and then I'll be using the storage size, or gigabytes, that the hard drives were. So I'm going to start by copying the years from this is a different spreadsheet I was using just to keep track of my data. So I'm going to copy those years and then paste them right into the X values on the spreadsheet for my graph. Then same thing for the Y values. If you just have your data written down by hand, or you found it online or done research, you can just go ahead and enter it right into this spreadsheet and it'll automatically put it over onto the graph for you. But I'll just take that data and I'm going to copy, and then I'll paste that as well. You can then just actually close Excel, and PowerPoint should open up full size with your graph. You can always go back and edit your data more if you just click on Edit Data. And now I can start changing the way this looks. Right now this is a pretty basic graph. I'm not going to get a whole bunch of points for that. It doesn't really match anything else on my page. To customize it, lots of different controls you can do up here. Right away you can change the layout. There's a lot of different choices. You definitely don't want to pick something that's too full of information or too confusing. An infographic needs to be clear and easy to read. So you can go through here and kind of take a look at some of the different choices. I do like the ones that let you label the x-axis and the y-axis. It's a really important part of a graph so that someone can see what your data is representing. Usually I'll take off this section for the values. You can just right click on that and delete it. Gives you a little bit more room for your graph. You can adjust the size by just stretching out the sides. You can make it taller or skinnier. You can really customize how it looks. Under the layout, you've got a lot of specific things you can adjust on your graph. You can give it a title. You can give titles to the X and Y axis. You can put on a legend or label the different data points. You can adjust lots of different things on here. I normally go to the format page. I think that's where you can get the most changes and really make your graph match the rest of your infographic. We'll start over here for the shape styles. Doesn't really change very much when I click on these. Really all that's changing is just the border. But if you go down, you'll see that there are some that actually do make quite a big difference and really could kind of make your graph match the rest of your infographic. You can kind of use some of these different color styles in some of your other parts of your infographic and really create a nice cohesive poster. I'll take this light green one. You can also adjust some of the other settings in the middle here, and then this is going to adjust your words. You need to be really careful to make sure that whatever changes you make, you can still read the information really clearly. I'm feeling like most of these word art choices are still kind of hard to read. So I'm going to try and see if I can change the size of the font first so that it's really easy to read on my poster. Looks like I can do that by just clicking on the axis and then clicking the A with the up arrow on the Home tab. That's going to make it a little bit easier to read that information. Same thing where it says axis title. I can just go in and I could type in year across the bottom. For the side, I could type in storage size in gigabytes. So I've got my X and Y axis labeled. I could put in a title. You notice all of my graph controls disappear. I have to click on the graph first and then go to Chart Tools, and that's where I can get back to some of this information. If I wanted to put in a chart title, I could say centered overlay or above the chart, and then here I could give this a title, and I'll say hard drive storage history. So you can start to get an idea of what my data is showing here. We got the years across the bottom, the storage size on the side. You can see that over time it's gotten larger. This line is very hard to see at the bottom, so I'll change that by right-clicking on it and go to Format Data Series. And this is where you can change these markers. I could change the line, lots of different things I can adjust. I'll change the line width to make it a thicker line. It's a little bit easier to see that on the graph. You can click on Chart Tools, you can change the design, you can change the layout, you can change the format. Lots of different settings you can adjust in here to really customize your graph, and you want to use those to create a real clear representation of your data.